Hi guys, my name is Tabitha Service and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made my Alastor cosplay. This costume took me about a year to make, in between work and everything. But it was a lot of fun making this costume, and I'm going to show you the different patterns and techniques I used to make it. I was very excited to compete in the GalaxyCon St. Louis competition. Cosplay competition and won Best in Show with this cosplay. So I'm very excited to show you how it looks. We're going a little handheld on this because I did not videotape me working on any of my props. So one of the props is Alastor's cane. My friend Austin 3D printed it for me, and then I sanded and polished and painted it myself. The base of it is PVC piping, which then breaks up into two pieces right here, so I can put it in my suitcase and take it to cons if I am flying. Austin also has a resin printer, and he resin printed my claws, so you can see the inside of the claws right there. So he resin printed these, and then I used an airbrush and airbrushed them. I kind of tried my best to use a metallic red paint. I've worn these several times, so they are getting chipped. I'm going to have to repaint them. How I got them on the gloves is I wrapped my fingers and cling wrap, lots of layers of cling wrap. I put the gloves on, and then I super glued them in place. It still stung. So it wasn't fun putting these on. But they're so fun to wear. Of course, I can't, eat or answer the phone in these. But I very much, enjoy wearing them. It's just so fun. I like the sound they make. And I just, I don't know, I love it. It's just so fun. Now, in a later clip, you're going to see me working on the bow tie, and I will mention where I got the centerpiece, but I wanted to show you what the bow tie looked like. So that's the bow tie, and that is the brooch that I bought that I will mention later in the video, but I wanted to show you what it looked like now. So, on to the rest of the video of me making the rest of the costume. So the first step in making my Alastor cosplay was making the button-up shirt. I used Burda pattern 6327. It's a simple button-up pattern that I've used multiple times for multiple projects. It's easy to modify and just, really quick and simple to make. I would have to say roughly, in between my work and other projects, this shirt probably only took 2 hours to make between cutting the pieces and actually sewing it. I had the only thing I had to modify was the cross design in the front and making sure the sleeves were short enough because this pattern has longer sleeves. I am a shorter person, so I have shorter limbs. That's the only modifications I had to do with this pattern. I used a stretch cotton for the red fabric that is used to make, suiting tops, so it can hug your curves really well. It's really form-fitting. And then the black fabric is this gorgeous, black, shiny cotton. The downside with the red fabric is that it collects a lot of lint and it wrinkles very easily. So I always have to carry a lint roller when I go to cons if I bring Alastor, because I always have to clean up this shirt because it just collects lint and hair like it's no one's business. The only thing that I did not record is me making my pants for Alastor. I used a McCall's pattern 6610. It's an easy pattern to work with. I've used it before as well. I just had to modify. The only thing I had to modify was the pockets. I made the pockets a little bit bigger, and on the back of the pants, I added some welt pockets. I really enjoy making welt pockets. They're a bit of challenging to make, and I wished I videotape how I made those, but I think I videotaped the welt pockets for the vest, and hopefully that's shown in the videos coming up. So I'm going a little handheld right now. So I did this off camera because it was very confusing and I wasn't sure what I was doing. So for Alastor's vest, I wanted to go a little authentic. So I was looking up some of my favorite historical YouTubers, and one of them listed this like 1920s Tailor's magazine. So I found a vest I like. And then I had like another friend help me figure out how to read the directions on how to draft a pattern, because I've never done this and I don't think I ever want to do this again. So I'm not sure how I did it. Don't ask me. It's confusing. It's a lot of math. So if someone tells you sewing doesn't involve math, they're wrong. Especially if you're drafting your own patterns. So here is my pattern. It is a little wonky, but I'm gonna do a muslin mock-up, and we're gonna see how this looks. And then if it doesn't work, another friend sent me a online listing for a similar style of vest but modernized. And we're just gonna take that method, but I'm hoping this will work. So I'm gonna cut out the pattern. I'm gonna cut out the muslin pattern, and then we will see how it goes. So the mock-up went really well. There's just a few adjustments I'm gonna make, which is taking the collar down some more because it's really up against my neck. And I'm going to make the armholes bigger right below my underarm. The top is fine. I like the top. So I think I'm just going to bring this down some more and bring that down some more. And then I can start actually making the vest. So I realized I didn't do any recordings of me making the welt pockets for this vest, and I apologize for that. The welt pockets were so fun to make. I actually ended up adding 3 when the vintage pattern from the magazine only had 2. And they're all very useful pockets. I actually put a pocket watch in it because I decided to add a pocket watch to my Alastor cosplay to give it more of a vintage look. The one thing that was a little tricky to make was the bow tie. I ended up making 3 different ones of different sizes until I decided which one would work. I used a medium weight interfacing because I didn't want it too stiff, because if you use too stiff of an interfacing, it wouldn't have folded as nicely when you wrapped it with the red band. I also added a vintage brooch that I got off of Etsy. Um, it was supposedly from 1930s, but like I'm not a antiquitist, so I just, don't know anything about it. I'm just gonna believe that this person had an antique brooch and I bought it. It's gold, it's got like rectangles and floral designs, and it has a stone in the middle. It just screamed Alastor. So I attached that to the finished brooch, which you'll see in final photos at the end of this video. Um, the next thing that I worked on, which was the longest project, was the jacket. Um, I was looking at a lot of online patterns and I ended up with one, which I'll link down below. It was an okay pattern to use, however, I had to modify the sleeves a lot. The sleeves on this jacket pattern did not match. Like they were too skinny, to the point that I wouldn't have been able to wear my button-up shirt under my jacket. So I had to modify the sleeves heavily to fit my button-up shirt underneath. For the stripes, I ended up debating what I wanted to do. I saw a lot of people paint. I saw a lot of people do um, like bias taping. I ended up doing a fancy stitch on my Viking Epic 1 sewing machine. And I used a stick-on interfacing to stabilize the fabric as I did this fancy stitch work. Um, I like this design because it's very like sharp, viney looking, which I really, thought it matched Alastor perfectly with his like shadow creature that he has going on. Um, the hard part was spacing out the stripes because this jacket does flare out. Um, and to add more to the flare, I later added wiring to some of the um, seam allowance areas that I added with some ribbon bias taping. The wire is bendable, so it helps me flare the jacket out. I sadly did not record putting those in, and I apologize. That was very last minute, and I think I ended up hand stitching that instead of doing it by the sewing machine. Please enjoy these final photos of me as Alastor. Thank you for watching this video. I know certain parts I forgot to film. That's my bad. I have a tendency to forget things. But I think that's most people, right? I do have some new projects that I'm going to be working on. One of them is a new McCall cosplay. So I'm going to do my best to record how I make that one. And I haven't decided what's going to come up after that. I might make a costume for a friend, or I might work on a new Jamil Viper from Disney Twisted Wonderland. So, look forward to that. See you guys!